Hi, sixth graders. We are on Unit 3B again. And the title of your page is Fractions and Percents. Our learning target is being able to write fractions as percents, percents as fractions, and ratios as percentages. So what are some ways that we can think of to represent parts of wholes? So a ratio is a fraction which represents part of a whole. The denominator is how much total there is. The numerator is the number of parts. Percent is always out of 100. So it's how many parts per 100. So how many parts out of 100? A percent means that it is out of 100, like we just said, or hundredths. So percent equals, we would say hundreds or hundredths. That compares a number. A percent is a part to a whole ratio that compares a number to 100. And out of 100 is n%. So any number over 100 is that number with a percentage. And we can see a model here. 9 squares are shaded in out of 100. So 9% of the squares are shaded in. Okay, fractions and percents are ratios that can represent the same number. So just like fractions being written as a decimal, we can write fractions also as a percent. So if we see 3/20 and we want to write it as a percent, we can see right here that we have 20 rectangles. 20 represents our whole, and 3 of them are shaded in. So 3/20. If we change these boxes right here into smaller ones, we have the same size outside, the same whole, but our parts are a different number. Then we have 15 small boxes are shaded in out of 100. So 3/20 is the same as 15 hundredths, which we know with equivalent fractions, and 15 hundredths then would represent 15%. And I can go 3/20 to get it. We have to get it to 100 to represent it as a percent. So times 5 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15 over 100 is also 15%. Okay, you try these on the bottom and then check. So 17/20, so times 5. I'm doing times 5 because 20 times 5 equals 100. 17 times 5 is 85, so we have 85%. 3/5, so I have to get to 100. So 5 times 20, 3 times 20. So 3 times 20 is 60 over 100 is 60%. Once we get it to over 100, then we just take that number and add a percent sign. But we have to get it to 100 first. 2/25, it would be nice if I could say that that's 2%, but it's not. I have to change it to hundredths, and in order to change the bottom to hundredths, I have to change the top. So 25 times 4 is 100. So 2 times 4 is 8. So then we have 8%. Write each written ratio as a percent. So 30 out of 50 books read would be 30/50. Times it times 2. So 30 times 2, so 60 hundredths, which is 60%. So 30 out of 50 is the same as 60% of the books that are read, which makes sense because 50% of 50 is 25. 30 is a little bit more, which would be 60%. 12 out of 25 teenagers, so 12/25. Get it to 100 on the bottom, so we have to do times 4 times 4. So 12 times 4 is 48. So 48%. 12.2 out of 100 points earned. Normally we don't have a decimal in our fraction. We want to do all that we can to not have a fraction. But since it's a decimal, normally we don't have a decimal in our fraction. 12.2 over 100, it's already over 100. So then I know it's going to be 12.2%. And then 11 out of 20, I want to get it to 100, so I have to do 20 times 5, 11 times 5, which is 55, so 55%. And if we have, let's say we have 5/5, so 5/5, I know that to get it to 100 would be times 20 times 20, so I'd end up with 100. 100 hundredths is really the same as 1, which would be also, because we have 100 over 100, which would be 100%. And then if we want to write each percent as a fraction, we know that our percent, 48%, anything with a percent is just that number over 100. So 48% would be the same as 48 hundredths. I take the percentage sign away, 48 hundredths, and then I need to always write it in simplest form. So they're both even, so I can do divide by 2, which is 24/50. I can divide by 2 again and get 12/25. You try these last ones and then come back and check. So 40% is the same as 40 hundredths. I can divide them both by 4, which is 4. I can divide them both by 10, so we'll just do that. You can divide them by 2, you could divide them by 20, you could divide them by 10, you could divide them by, what else? Let's do 4. 40 divided by 4 would be 10, 100 divided by 4 would be 25, and then I know they can both be divided by 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. So 40% is the same as 2/5. 6% is 6 hundredths. Divide them both by 2, and we get 3/50. And then 24%, is 24 hundredths. Divide them both by 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 100 divided by 4 is 25. They cannot be divided by anything else, so that would be simplest form. All right, short and sweet, that's all I have for you. See you tomorrow.